Have you ever noticed entrepreneurs who scale their businesses so quickly and smoothly that it almost feels unfair, maybe even a bit suspicious? You're not alone. Many entrepreneurs watch from the sidelines, grinding away, trapped in cycles of long hours, unpredictable cash flow, and constant hustle, wondering if there's some secret they're missing. There is, but it's not luck, cutting corners, or even harder work. It's strategic leverage. In Outsmart Everyone, How to Make Money So Fast It Feels Illegal, you'll discover precisely how legendary entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk engineered exponential business growth by mastering strategic frameworks that compress time, accelerate cash flow, and multiply value, all ethically and sustainably. This isn't about superficial shortcuts. It's about building smarter systems and structures that make success inevitable. You'll learn to compress cash cycles, escape the hourly hustle, and harness hidden levers of growth, strategies that most business owners overlook or misunderstand. If you're tired of waiting weeks or months to see results, frustrated by inconsistent revenue, and ready to operate at a level that leaves your competitors bewildered, this book is your playbook. Within these pages, you'll uncover not just the methods, but the mindset and tactics that can transform your business in less than 60 days without needing a massive team or bottomless budgets. It's time to stop chasing growth and start engineering it. Welcome to the smarter way of doing business. Chapter 1: Illegality Illusion. Your phone buzzes at 2:47 a.m. Another payment notification. While you slept, someone just bought your premium package, full price, no questions asked. They found you through a channel that costs you nothing. They paid up front because your guarantee made saying no feel riskier than saying yes. This isn't luck, it's structure. And to everyone watching from the outside, it looks suspicious as hell. Welcome to the illegality illusion, the phenomenon where ethical, legal business moves produce results so fast they seem impossible. When you compress cash cycles, engineer negative working capital, and capture temporary monopoly windows, outsiders assume you're cutting corners. You're not. You're just playing a different game entirely. The invisible prison most entrepreneurs build. Here's the brutal truth. Most business owners are trapped in an hour-selling prison of their own design. They trade time for money, anchor prices to effort instead of outcomes, and watch cash trickle in 30 to 60 days after delivery. This isn't just inefficient, it's suffocating. Take Sarah, a marketing consultant I know, brilliant strategist, charges $150 an hour, works 50-hour weeks, grosses $390,000 annually, but nets maybe $180,000 after expenses. Sounds decent until you realize she can't take a real vacation, can't invest in growth, and definitely can't scale without hiring an army. Why? Because every dollar is tied to her personal hours. Her pricing is anchored to effort, not outcomes. Clients pay net 30, so cash arrives when projects are already forgotten. She's built a sophisticated job, not a business. The hour-selling trap creates 3 compounding problems. Cash flow drag starves growth before it starts. When money arrives 45 days after delivery, you're constantly borrowing against future work. Stress rises, decision quality falls. You chase urgent over important because urgent pays the bills. Me Too positioning forces discounts. When your offer looks identical to everyone else's, price becomes the only differentiator. Prospects hesitate because trust takes months to build. Growth stalls. Burnout begins. Margin collapse makes scaling impossible. You can't reinvest what you don't have. You can't hire when cash is uncertain. You can't experiment when every dollar counts. This is where most entrepreneurs get stuck. They work harder, not smarter. They blame the market, the economy, the algorithms. They never realize they're playing the wrong game entirely. The fast cash engine that changes everything. But there's another way, a way that makes money arrive faster, more predictably, and with less effort. It's called the Illegality Illusion Principle, and it works like this. People mistake unfamiliar leverage for wrongdoing. When you deploy smart structures, value velocity, distribution edges, cash compression, client financing, the speed of your results looks suspicious to untrained eyes. They see the outcome, not the system. They assume shortcuts, not strategy. Consider Jeff Bezos and Amazon's early years. While competitors focused on quarterly profits, Bezos engineered a negative cash conversion cycle. Customers paid immediately, suppliers got paid in 30 to 60 days. That float, billions in customer cash, funded expansion, logistics, and innovation. Was it illegal? No. Was it unfamiliar? Absolutely. Traditional retailers called it unsustainable. Wall Street called it reckless. Bezos called it Tuesday. The same principle applies to Michael Dell's build-to-order model. Customers paid up front. Dell assembled computers only after payment cleared. Zero inventory risk. Massive working capital advantages. Competitors couldn't understand how Dell maintained such thin margins while growing so fast. Or look at Elon Musk's Tesla strategy. Billions in customer deposits funded R&D and production before a single car shipped. Pre-selling outcomes, not parts. Creating temporary monopoly windows in electric vehicle mindshare while legacy automakers debated whether EVs were viable. These aren't anomalies, they're examples of the illegality illusion in action. The leverage triad that multiplies everything. The secret lies in understanding the three forms of leverage that create exponential outcomes. Code scales actions without adding people. Templates, automation, and systems replace manual work. One setup serves thousands of customers. Your effort becomes infinitely reusable. Capital buys time and acceleration, not just money, but access, inventory, advertising, and acquisitions. Capital lets you move faster than bootstrapped competitors and cushions volatility. Content multiplies trust and distribution. Evergreen assets that sell while you sleep. Authority that compounds. Proof that converts strangers into buyers without your direct involvement. Layer these three on smart business structures, and something magical happens. Each cycle becomes easier than the last. Proof accumulates, cash arrives faster, distribution expands, trust velocity increases. The result? A business that earns more money in less time with less stress, consistently. Test the race to the bottom and how to avoid it. Without these structures, you're doomed to a race to the bottom. Competitors undercut prices. You match them. Margins vanish. You work more to earn the same. Quality drops. Reputation suffers. The debt spiral begins. You borrow to bridge cash gaps. Interest eats profit. Urgent decisions trump strategic ones. Hiring freezes. Opportunities pass by while you're stuck firefighting. Eventually, learned helplessness sets in. The market is saturated becomes your excuse. Cynicism blocks experiments. Stagnation hardens into identity. You become the cautionary tale other entrepreneurs whisper about. But it doesn't have to be this way. Your first 60-day transformation. By the time you finish this book, you'll have the tools to achieve 3 specific outcomes. A faster offer with one clear outcome, a 7-day quick win, and 30-50% deposits that fund delivery. You'll publish proof assets that make buying feel inevitable. A new distribution channel where attention is underpriced and response is immediate. You'll capture leads into owned lists and run follow-up sequences that convert strangers into buyers. Measurable gains of $3,000 to $10,000 in additional revenue within 30 to 60 days. You'll cut your cash conversion cycle in half and lift close rates by 20% through strategic risk reversal. These aren't theoretical concepts. They're practical systems you can implement immediately. The winner's playbook. Winners think differently. They pre-sell before building. They ship fast and iterate in public. They read platform rules and operate on edges, not over them. They measure speed weekly and adjust ruthlessly. Losers perfect endlessly before launching too late. They create copycat offers and blame algorithms when they fail. They hide from proof because they're afraid of being judged. The difference isn't talent or luck, it's structure. Take the case studies scattered throughout this book. Bezos didn't invent e-commerce. He engineered better cash cycles. Dell didn't invent computers. He eliminated inventory risk. Musk didn't invent electric cars. He captured temporary monopoly windows through superior financing and positioning. Each understood that speed comes from structure, not hustle. That leverage beats labor. That systems create freedom. the path forward. The chapters ahead will show you exactly how to build these systems. Value velocity will teach you to design offers that feel like buttons that work, clear outcomes, minimal risk, maximum speed. Complexity arbitrage will show you how to charge premium prices for making complicated things simple. Distribution edges will reveal where attention is underpriced today and how to capture it before competitors notice. Monopoly moments will teach you to spot and seize temporary windows that create lasting advantages. Cash compression will transform your payment cycles from 45 days to 5 days, or negative. Client financing will show you how to let customers fund your growth through deposits, retainers, and annual prepays. Trust velocity will accelerate the time it takes strangers to say yes through strategic proof and risk reversal. And endless leverage will tie everything together into a compounding system that works while you sleep. Each chapter builds on the last. Each system amplifies the others. The result is a business that looks impossible to outsiders but feels inevitable to you. Your edge isn't luck, it's structure. The entrepreneurs making money so fast it feels illegal aren't lucky. They're not cutting corners. They're not gaming the system. They're playing a better game entirely. They understand that cash is oxygen. That proof converts better than promises. That systems scale faster than people. That leverage multiplies effort into exponential outcomes. Most importantly, they know that speed comes from structure, not shortcuts. The structures you're about to learn have generated billions in revenue across thousands of businesses. They work in every industry, at every scale, in every economic condition. They're not theoretical, they're practical. Not complex, they're simple. Not risky, they're proven. But they require one thing from you: action. The entrepreneurs who implement these systems in the next 30 days will start seeing results in the next 60. Those who read and wait will still be waiting next year, wondering why everyone else seems to be moving so much faster. The choice is yours. The systems are here. The only question is, how fast do you want to move? Because in the next chapter, we're going to show you exactly how to engineer value velocity, the art of making your offers so compelling, so clear, and so low risk that buying becomes the obvious choice. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. Price stops being an objection and starts being a footnote. But first, you need to understand why most offers move like molasses and how the fastest-growing companies make theirs feel like lightning. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2: Value Velocity. Two entrepreneurs launch identical services on the same day, same target market, same pricing, same experience level. 6 months later, one is booked solid with a wait list, charging triple the original price. The other is still scrambling for clients, competing on price, wondering what went wrong. The difference wasn't luck, timing, or talent. It was velocity. The successful entrepreneur understood something the struggling one missed. In business, speed isn't just an advantage, it's the ultimate competitive moat. When your offer moves fast, everything else follows. Buyers say yes faster, cash arrives sooner, word spreads quicker, momentum builds momentum. But here's what most entrepreneurs get wrong about speed. They think it means working faster, talking faster, or pushing harder. That's not velocity, that's just frantic motion. True velocity comes from removing friction, not adding force. The button that actually works. Think about the last time you used a well-designed app. You tapped a button, and something happened instantly. No loading screens, no confusion, no wondering if it worked. Just immediate, obvious progress toward your desired outcome. That's what your offer needs to feel like, a button that works. Most business offers feel more like broken vending machines. You put in your money, press the button, and nothing. Maybe something will happen eventually. Maybe not. You're not sure what you'll get, when you'll get it, or if it will actually solve your problem. So you hesitate. You shop around, you delay the decision. Drew Houston figured this out early with Dropbox. Before Dropbox, file sharing was a nightmare. Email attachments had size limits. USB drives got lost. FTP servers required technical knowledge most people didn't have. The promise was simple, your files anywhere, but the path to get there was anything but. Houston's genius wasn't in the technology. Dozens of companies were building cloud storage. His genius was in the velocity. He created a 3-minute demo video that showed exactly what would happen when you used Dropbox. Drag a file into a folder on your computer, watch it appear on your phone, share it with a colleague. Done. No technical jargon, no feature lists, no complicated setup process. Just a clear before and after that anyone could understand in seconds. The demo went viral because it removed every barrier between, I have this problem and I can see exactly how this solves it. That's value velocity in action, the speed at which someone moves from problem awareness to solution confidence. The hidden friction killing your sales. Most entrepreneurs unknowingly sabotage their own velocity. They add friction where they should remove it. They create complexity where they should create clarity. They ask buyers to work when they should be doing the work themselves. Consider the typical consulting proposal: 30 pages of methodology, timelines, and deliverables. The prospect has to decode what it all means, imagine how it applies to their situation, and trust that the consultant can actually deliver on the promises. That's not velocity, that's a homework assignment. Compare that to a consultant who says, in 72 hours, you'll have a complete audit of your sales process with 3 specific recommendations that could increase your close rate by 20% or more. Here's exactly what that looks like. And then shows a sample audit from a similar client. Same service, completely different velocity. The second approach removes effort, delay, and risk from the buyer's decision. They don't have to imagine the outcome. They can see it. They don't have to trust blindly. They have proof. They don't have to wait months for results. They get value in days. This is the value-velocity equation in action. The speed of money is directly proportional to perceived outcome minus effort, delay, and risk. Increase the clarity of the outcome. Reduce the effort required from the buyer. Minimize delays in seeing results. Eliminate risk through guarantees and proof. Do this right, and something magical happens. Price stops being the primary objection. When buyers can clearly see the outcome, trust that it will happen quickly, and feel confident in their decision, they stop shopping on price and start buying on value. The myths that keep you slow. 3 dangerous myths keep most entrepreneurs trapped in low-velocity offers. The first is that lower prices win. This seems logical until you realize that cheap often signals risk and delay. When someone offers the lowest price, buyers wonder what's wrong with it. What corners are being cut? What experience are they lacking? What problems will emerge later? Speed and certainty beat cheap every time. Buyers will pay more to skip delay, avoid risk, and get guaranteed outcomes. The consultant charging $50,000 for a 90-day transformation will outsell the one charging $5,000 for a 12-month process, even though the hourly rate is identical. Why? Because the first offer has higher velocity. The second myth is that complexity equals value. Entrepreneurs think they need to show all the work, explain every step, and prove how hard they're working. But buyers don't pay for steps. They pay for outcomes. They don't want to see the sausage being made. They want to know it will taste good and arrive quickly. The most successful offers are often the simplest. Stripe's 7 lines of code to accept payments. Zoom's 1 click to join a meeting. Tesla's press the pedal, the car goes fast. Complexity might impress other entrepreneurs, but simplicity converts buyers. The third myth is that guarantees attract scammers and problem clients. This fear keeps entrepreneurs from offering the risk reversal that would dramatically increase their velocity. But here's the truth. Proper guarantees with clear eligibility criteria actually filter out bad clients while attracting good ones. When you guarantee specific outcomes for specific types of clients who take specific actions, you're not opening yourself up to abuse. You're demonstrating confidence in your ability to deliver. Good clients see this as proof of your competence. Bad clients self-select out because they don't want to meet the requirements. Engineering your velocity machine. Building a high-velocity offer starts with the outcome snapshot, a single sentence that describes exactly what the buyer will have when you're done. Not what you'll do, but what they'll get. Not the process, but the result. We'll optimize your website is a process. You'll have a website that converts 40% more visitors into leads within 30 days is an outcome. The second version has velocity because it's specific, measurable, and time-bound. The buyer can picture success and know exactly when they'll see it. But the outcome is just the beginning. Next comes effort transfer, moving work from the buyer to you. Instead of asking them to fill out a 20-page questionnaire, you conduct a 30-minute interview. Instead of requiring them to gather data, you pull it yourself. Instead of making them choose between options, you recommend the best path based on their situation. Every piece of effort you remove from the buyer increases your velocity. They don't want to work, they want results. The more you can deliver results without requiring their input, the faster they'll say yes, and the more they'll pay. Then comes delay elimination. Most offers have built-in delays that kill momentum. We'll start next month. You'll see results in 90 days. The first phase takes 6 weeks. Each delay gives buyers time to change their minds, find alternatives, or lose urgency. High velocity offers engineer quick wins. The website audit that arrives in 24 hours. The strategy session that happens this week. The first optimization that goes live tomorrow. These micro results don't just prove competence, they create momentum that carries through the entire engagement. Finally, you need risk elimination. This goes beyond money-back guarantees to include performance guarantees, timeline guarantees, and satisfaction guarantees. But the key is making them conditional. If you implement our recommendations and don't see a 20% increase in leads within 60 days, we'll refund your investment and pay you $1,000 for your time. This type of guarantee does 3 things simultaneously. It removes risk from the buyer's decision. It demonstrates confidence in your ability to deliver, and it filters for clients who are serious about implementation. The proof that converts. High-velocity offers are built on high-density proof, not testimonials that say great work, but case studies that show specific outcomes for specific types of clients in specific timeframes. Not claims about what you can do, but demonstrations of what you have done. The most powerful proof mirrors the buyer's situation. If you're selling to e-commerce companies, show e-commerce results. If you're targeting startups, feature startup case studies. If you're focused on a specific industry, lead with wins from that industry. But proof isn't just about past results. It's about making future results visible. Screenshots of dashboards, time-lapse videos of transformations, before and after comparisons with timestamps. The goal is to make the buyer feel like they're already experiencing the outcome. This is why Dropbox's demo video was so powerful. It didn't just describe what the product would do, it showed exactly what the experience would feel like. Viewers could see themselves using it successfully before they ever signed up. Your proof should do the same thing. Show the buyer exactly what their experience will look like, step by step, from start to finish. Remove the mystery, eliminate the guesswork, make success feel inevitable. The velocity multiplier effect. When you get velocity right, something extraordinary happens. Your offer doesn't just convert better, it compounds. Happy clients refer others faster, word spreads quicker, your reputation builds momentum. This is what happened to Zoom during the early days of remote work. While competitors focused on features, Zoom focused on velocity. 1 click to join a meeting, no downloads required, works on any device. The result wasn't just market share, it was market dominance. The same principle applies to your business. When clients see results quickly, they become advocates immediately. When prospects can envision success clearly, they buy confidently. When your offer moves fast, everything else accelerates. But velocity isn't just about individual offers, it's about your entire business model. Fast offers create fast cash flow. Quick wins generate rapid referrals. Immediate results build instant credibility. Each element amplifies the others, creating a flywheel of growth that becomes harder for competitors to match. The entrepreneurs who master velocity don't just win individual deals, they win entire markets. They set the pace that others struggle to match. They create expectations that others can't meet. They build momentum that others can't stop. This is your competitive advantage waiting to be unlocked. Not through better features or lower prices, but through superior velocity, through offers that move so fast they feel effortless, through outcomes so clear they seem inevitable. But velocity alone isn't enough. Even the fastest offer will fail if it's complicated, confusing, or overwhelming. That's where the next principle comes in, one that turns chaos into clarity and charges premium prices for making the complex feel simple. The entrepreneurs who combine velocity with this next principle don't just win faster, they win bigger, with higher margins and less competition. But first, you need to understand why most markets are drowning in unnecessary complexity and how the smartest entrepreneurs turn that complexity into their greatest competitive advantage. Chapter 3: Complexity Arbitrage. A software developer walks into a bank in 2010 with a radical idea. What if accepting payments online could be as simple as adding 7 lines of code to a website? The banker laughs. Impossible. Payment processing requires merchant accounts, PCI compliance, fraud detection, currency conversion, tax calculations, and integration with dozens of different systems. It takes months to set up and requires a team of specialists. The developer nods politely and walks out. His name is Patrick Collison, and he's about to prove that the most valuable businesses aren't built by adding complexity. They're built by removing it. Today, Stripe processes hundreds of billions in payments annually. Those 7 lines of code became a $95 billion company. Not because they invented payment processing, but because they made it feel effortless. This is complexity arbitrage in action, the art of turning chaos into clarity and charging premium prices for certainty. The hidden gold mine in every market. Every market is drowning in unnecessary complexity. Vendors compete by adding features. Consultants justify fees by showing how much work they do. Software companies build products that require training manuals. Everyone assumes that more complex means more valuable. They're wrong. While competitors pile on features and steps, the smartest entrepreneurs do the opposite. They find the 12-step process everyone accepts as just how it's done and collapse it into 2 steps. They take the decision-heavy maze that exhausts buyers and turn it into a straight path with clear signposts. This isn't about dumbing things down, it's about smartening them up. It's about recognizing that in a world overflowing with options, clarity becomes the scarcest commodity, and scarcity creates value. Think about the last time you tried to set up a new software tool. How many screens did you have to navigate? How many decisions did you have to make? How many times did you wonder if you were doing it right? Now imagine if that same outcome could be achieved with one click. Which version would you pay more for? The market consistently underprices clarity while overpricing feature count. This creates an arbitrage opportunity for entrepreneurs smart enough to see it. While everyone else is adding complexity, you can win by subtracting it. The Stripe revolution that changed everything. When the Collison brothers started Stripe, online payments were a nightmare. Merchants had to navigate a maze of banks, processors, and compliance requirements. Setting up payment processing took weeks or months. Integration required specialized knowledge. Troubleshooting meant calling multiple vendors who would blame each other for any problems. The existing players, PayPal, Authorize.net, and traditional merchant account providers competed by adding features. More payment methods, more currencies, more reporting options, more. Patrick and John Collison saw the opportunity differently. Instead of adding features, they subtracted friction. Instead of more options, they provided better defaults. Instead of customization, they offered simplification. Their breakthrough wasn't technological, it was philosophical. They realized that developers didn't want to become payment experts. They just wanted payments to work. So Stripe absorbed all the complexity behind the scenes and presented a simple interface, 7 lines of code that handled everything. But here's the crucial insight. Stripe didn't make payments simple by making them less powerful. They made them simple by making better decisions on behalf of their customers. They chose the best defaults. They handled the edge cases. They managed the compliance. They turned expertise into automation. The result? Explosive adoption and platform power. Developers chose Stripe not because it was cheaper, it often wasn't, but because it was clearer. It removed decisions, eliminated delays, and reduced risk. It turned a complex, stressful process into a simple, confident one. This is the essence of complexity arbitrage. You don't win by being simpler. You win by making complexity invisible. The 3 deadly myths keeping you complex. Most entrepreneurs resist simplification because they believe 3 dangerous myths. The first is that more features equal more value. This seems logical until you realize that features without focus create confusion, not value. Consider the typical software product that starts with one core function and gradually accumulates dozens of features. Each feature seems valuable in isolation, but together they create decision paralysis. Users spend more time figuring out what to do than actually doing it. Support costs skyrocket, adoption slows, churn increases. The most successful products often have fewer features, not more. Instagram launched with one function, sharing square photos with filters. WhatsApp focused on one thing, simple messaging. Zoom built everything around one promise, one-click meetings. Each could have added countless features, but they chose focus instead. The second myth is that clients won't pay for templates or standardized solutions. Entrepreneurs think they need to custom build everything to justify their fees. But clients don't pay for custom work. They pay for working solutions. They'd rather have a proven template that delivers results than a custom solution that might work. Smart entrepreneurs flip this thinking. Instead of starting from scratch every time, they build reusable systems that get better with each implementation. They create templates, frameworks, and processes that capture their expertise and make it repeatable. Then they charge premium prices, not for the time it takes to deliver, but for the certainty of the outcome. The third myth is that easy means cheap. Entrepreneurs worry that if they make their solution look effortless, clients will question the value. So they add unnecessary steps, show all their work, and make the process feel appropriately difficult. This is backwards thinking. Easy doesn't mean cheap. Easy means valuable. When you make something effortless for the client, you're not reducing value, you're concentrating it. You're taking all the complexity, all the decisions, all the risk onto yourself and delivering pure outcome. The key is communicating the complexity you've absorbed, not the simplicity you've created. Show them the 47 steps you eliminated, the 12 decisions you made for them, the 6 months of trial and error you compressed into 6 hours of execution. The pathway to premium pricing. Building a complexity arbitrage business starts with mapping the mess. Most entrepreneurs skip this step because they're too close to their own industry. They accept the complexity as normal because they've learned to navigate it. But your competitive advantage lies in seeing the maze that others have learned to ignore. Start by documenting every step your clients currently take to achieve their desired outcome. Not just the obvious steps, but the hidden ones. The research phase, the decision points, the coordination between vendors, the rework when things go wrong, the delays while waiting for approvals. Most processes have far more steps than anyone realizes. What looks like a simple 5-step process often involves 20 to 30 micro-decisions and actions. Each step is a potential failure point. Each decision is a moment of doubt. Each handoff is a chance for miscommunication. Once you see the full complexity, you can start eliminating it. Some steps can be removed entirely. They add no real value, but exist because that's how we've always done it. Others can be automated, recurring actions that don't require human judgment. Still others can be bundled, related activities that are more efficient when done together. The goal isn't to eliminate all complexity, it's to move complexity from the client to you. You become the expert who handles the difficult decisions. You build the systems that automate the repetitive tasks. You create the processes that eliminate the guesswork. Then you package this simplified path as your core offering. One clear promise, one standard process, visible milestones that show progress. The client knows exactly what will happen, when it will happen, and what the outcome will be. But here's the crucial element. You don't hide the complexity you've absorbed, you highlight it. You show clients the 15 steps you eliminated, the 8 vendors you replaced, the 3 months of timeline you compressed. You make it clear that simple for them means sophisticated for you. The art of invisible sophistication. The most powerful complexity arbitrage happens behind the scenes. Your clients see simplicity, but you've built sophisticated systems to deliver it. This is where the real value and the real margins come from. Consider how Uber simplified transportation. From the user's perspective, it's incredibly simple. Open app, request ride, get picked up. But behind that simplicity is enormous complexity. Driver matching algorithms, dynamic pricing systems, payment processing, GPS routing, background checks, insurance coordination, and regulatory compliance across hundreds of cities. Uber didn't make transportation simple by making it less sophisticated. They made it simple by building more sophisticated systems that handle complexity automatically. Users pay premium prices not for the complexity they see, but for the complexity they don't have to deal with. Your business can work the same way. Take the most complex, frustrating process in your industry and build systems that make it feel effortless. Absorb the decisions, automate the repetitive tasks, eliminate the delays, and present clients with a clear path to their desired outcome. The key is building these systems once and using them repeatedly. Each implementation teaches you something new. Each client helps you refine the process. Each success story becomes proof that your simplified approach works. Over time, your systems become your moat. Competitors can copy your features, but they can't copy the accumulated wisdom built into your processes. They can't replicate the edge cases you've handled, the optimizations you've discovered, or the defaults you've perfected. The economics of effortless. Complexity arbitrage creates unique economic advantages. When you simplify processes for clients, several things happen simultaneously. Your delivery costs decrease because you're following proven systems instead of figuring things out from scratch. Your quality improves because you've eliminated the common failure points. Your speed increases because you're not making decisions, you're executing playbooks. Meanwhile, your pricing power increases because clients pay premiums for certainty and speed. They'd rather pay more for a guaranteed outcome than less for a risky experiment. They value their time more than your time, so they'll pay extra to avoid the complexity you've absorbed. This creates a compounding advantage. Higher margins fund better systems. Better systems enable faster delivery. Faster delivery creates happier clients. Happier clients generate more referrals. More referrals reduce acquisition costs. Lower acquisition costs increase profitability. The businesses that master complexity arbitrage don't just win individual deals, they win entire categories. They set the standard that others struggle to match. They create expectations that force competitors to either simplify or lose market share. But the real power comes from the switching costs you create. Once clients experience the simplicity of your approach, going back to the complex alternatives feels impossible. They become locked into your ecosystem not by contracts, but by convenience. The simplification playbook. Building your complexity arbitrage advantage requires a systematic approach. Start by identifying the most painful, complex process your clients currently endure. This is usually something they accept as just part of doing business, but secretly hate dealing with. Document every step of this process from the client's perspective. Include not just the actions they take, but the decisions they make, the coordination they manage, and the risks they bear. Most processes are far more complex than they appear on the surface. Next, design your simplified alternative. This isn't about cutting corners. It's about cutting steps. Remove anything that doesn't directly contribute to the outcome. Automate anything that can be systematized. Bundle anything that's more efficient when done together. Create clear defaults for every decision point. Instead of asking clients to choose between options, recommend the best path based on their situation. Instead of requiring them to coordinate between vendors, handle the coordination yourself. Instead of making them manage timelines, provide a single point of accountability. Build proof that your simplified approach works. Document the time saved, the stress eliminated, and the outcomes achieved. Create before and after comparisons that show the difference between the old complex way and your streamlined approach. Finally, price for the outcome, not the process. Charge based on the value delivered and the complexity absorbed, not the time invested or the steps eliminated. Make it clear that clients are paying for certainty, speed, and peace of mind. The compound effect of clarity. When you master complexity arbitrage, the benefits compound in unexpected ways. Simplified processes are easier to train others on, so you can scale your team faster. Standardized approaches are easier to systematize, so you can automate more of your delivery. Clear outcomes are easier to guarantee, so you can offer stronger risk reversal. Your marketing becomes more effective because you can make specific, measurable promises. Your sales process accelerates because prospects can quickly understand the value. Your delivery improves because you're following proven systems instead of improvising solutions. Most importantly, your reputation builds faster because clients get consistent, predictable results. They know exactly what to expect and exactly what they'll receive. This predictability creates trust, and trust creates premium pricing power. The entrepreneurs who understand complexity arbitrage don't just build businesses, they build categories. They become known as the simple solution in a complex world. They attract clients who are tired of dealing with complexity and willing to pay premium prices to avoid it. But simplification is only part of the equation. Even the most elegant solution will fail if nobody knows about it. That's where the next principle becomes crucial, one that turns underpriced attention into overpriced outcomes. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just simplify their offers, they amplify them through channels their competitors haven't discovered yet. They find the hidden pockets of attention where their ideal clients are waiting, unaware that a simple solution to their complex problems even exists. Chapter 4: Distribution Edges. Two entrepreneurs launch identical products on the same day. Same features, same pricing, same target market. 1 year later, the first entrepreneur has built a 7-figure business with customers in 47 countries. The second is still struggling to get noticed in their hometown. What made the difference? The first entrepreneur understood a secret that the second never discovered. The best product doesn't win. The best distributed product wins. But here's what most entrepreneurs miss about distribution. They think it's about being everywhere, posting constantly, or having the biggest advertising budget. That's not distribution. That's desperation. True distribution is about finding the hidden pockets of attention where your ideal customers are waiting, unaware that a solution to their problem even exists. This is the art of distribution edges, identifying and exploiting the gaps between where attention is cheap and where value is high. The invisible graveyard of great ideas. Every day, brilliant products die in obscurity. Not because they don't work, but because nobody knows they exist. The entrepreneur's garage is littered with solutions that could have changed industries if only the right people had discovered them at the right time. Meanwhile, mediocre products with superior distribution dominate markets. They're not better, they're just better known. They didn't win on features or price, they won on reach and timing. This creates one of business's most painful ironies. The correlation between product quality and market success is surprisingly weak. The correlation between distribution quality and market success is almost perfect. Consider the history of social media. Friendster was first, MySpace had more features, but Facebook won because Mark Zuckerberg understood distribution better than his competitors. He didn't try to be everywhere at once. Instead, he he focused on college campuses, a concentrated, connected audience with high viral potential. He created exclusivity that drove demand. He built network effects that made switching costly. By the time competitors realized what was happening, Facebook had captured the distribution advantage that would define the next decade of social networking. This is the power of distribution edges. They're not about having more channels, they're about having better channels. Channels where attention is underpriced, response is immediate, and competition is minimal. The Airbnb playbook that broke the rules. When Brian Chesky and his co-founders launched Airbnb, they faced an impossible challenge. How do you build a two-sided marketplace when you have no hosts and no guests? Traditional wisdom said you needed massive marketing budgets to solve the chicken and egg problem. Chesky found a different way. Instead of trying to create demand from scratch, he found places where demand already existed and redirected it. He discovered that Craigslist had thousands of people posting short-term rental listings, but the platform wasn't designed for this use case. The experience was clunky, payments were risky, and trust was minimal. So Airbnb built a tool that allowed hosts to cross-post their listings to Craigslist automatically. Suddenly, Airbnb hosts could reach Craigslist's massive audience without leaving the Airbnb platform. Guests searching Craigslist for rentals would find Airbnb listings that offered better photos, secure payments, and verified reviews. This wasn't just clever, it was transformative. Airbnb didn't compete with Craigslist for attention. They borrowed Craigslist's attention and converted it into their own ecosystem. They found underpriced distribution and arbitraged it into overpriced outcomes. But the real genius was what happened next. As Airbnb grew, they didn't abandon this approach. They systematized it. They created community programs that turned hosts into evangelists. They partnered with local tourism boards to access official distribution channels. They built tools that made it easy for hosts to share their listings across social media. Each distribution channel reinforced the others. More hosts attracted more guests. More guests attracted more hosts. Better inventory attracted higher quality customers. Higher quality customers attracted premium hosts. The flywheel accelerated until Airbnb became the default platform for short-term rentals worldwide. This is distribution edge thinking. Find where your audience already gathers, then build bridges that bring them to you. The 3 myths that keep you invisible. Most entrepreneurs fail at distribution because they believe 3 dangerous myths. The first is that all channels are saturated. They look at Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn and see millions of advertisers competing for attention. They conclude that the opportunity has passed and retreat to organic strategies that produce organic results, meaning almost nothing. This thinking misses the fundamental nature of attention markets. Even on mature platforms, there are always pockets of underpriced attention. New ad formats that haven't been discovered yet, audience segments that competitors ignore, content types that algorithms favor, geographic regions where competition is minimal. The key is specificity. Instead of trying to reach small business owners, target small business owners in the Pacific Northwest who use QuickBooks and have between 5 to 20 employees. Instead of competing for marketing keywords, focus on marketing automation for SaaS companies with less than $1 million ARR. The more specific you get, the less competition you face. The less competition you face, the cheaper attention becomes. The cheaper attention becomes, the higher your returns. The second myth is that only paid advertising works. Entrepreneurs see successful companies spending millions on ads and assume that's the only path to scale. They ignore the fact that most of those companies built their initial audience through owned content, partnerships, and community building. Paid advertising is an accelerator, not a foundation. It amplifies what's already working. If your organic content doesn't convert, paid promotion won't save it. If your offer doesn't resonate, more traffic won't fix it. If your funnel doesn't work, bigger budgets will just burn money faster. The smartest approach is to build owned distribution first, then amplify it with paid channels. Create content that attracts your ideal customers. Build email lists that you control. Develop partnerships that provide mutual value. Then use advertising to scale what's already proven to work. The third myth is the post and pray approach. Entrepreneurs create content, publish it everywhere, and hope something sticks. They treat distribution like a lottery instead of a system. They measure vanity metrics instead of business outcomes. They optimize for engagement instead of conversion. Real distribution is systematic. You identify specific channels where your ideal customers gather. You create content specifically designed for each channel's format and audience. You test multiple approaches, measure what works, and double down on winners while cutting losers. Every piece of content has a purpose. Every channel has a strategy. Every campaign has clear success metrics. You're not hoping for viral moments. You're building sustainable systems that generate predictable results. The Channel Discovery Framework. Finding your distribution edge starts with systematic channel discovery. Most entrepreneurs limit themselves to the obvious channels, the ones everyone talks about, everyone uses, and everyone competes on. But the best opportunities are often hiding in plain sight. Start by mapping where your ideal customers spend their time, not where you think they should spend their time. If you're targeting CFOs, they might be active in finance-specific Slack communities, not general business Facebook groups. If you're selling to developers, they might be on GitHub discussions, not LinkedIn posts. The goal is to find the intersection of three factors: high buyer concentration, low competitor presence, and underpriced attention. You want channels where your ideal customers gather in large numbers, where few competitors are actively marketing, and where you can reach people affordably. This often means looking beyond the mainstream platforms. Industry-specific forums, professional associations, regional business groups, niche podcasts, specialized newsletters, academic conferences, trade publications. These channels might have smaller audiences, but they often have higher engagement, better targeting, and lower competition. Once you've identified potential channels, you need to understand their unique dynamics. Every platform has its own culture, format preferences, and unwritten rules. What works on Twitter won't work on LinkedIn. What succeeds on TikTok will fail on YouTube. What converts on email won't convert on Instagram. The key is becoming native to each channel before you try to monetize it. Spend time understanding the audience. Study the top performers. Learn the platform's algorithm preferences. Understand what content gets shared, what gets ignored, and what gets penalized. The art of channel-native content. Once you understand a channel's dynamics, you can create content that feels native while driving business results. This isn't about adapting the same message for different platforms. It's about creating platform-specific content that serves the audience while advancing your goals. On LinkedIn, this might mean thought leadership posts that establish expertise and drive profile visits. On YouTube, it could be educational videos that build authority and capture email subscribers. On industry forums, it might be helpful answers that demonstrate competence and generate direct inquiries. The content should feel valuable to the audience, even if they never buy from you. You're not interrupting their experience, you're enhancing it. You're providing insights, solutions, or entertainment that makes their time on the platform more worthwhile. But every piece of content should also have a clear business purpose: building brand awareness, capturing leads, driving traffic, generating inquiries, nurturing prospects, converting customers. You're not creating content for its own sake. You're creating content that moves people through your customer journey. The most effective approach is to lead with outcomes, not credentials. Instead of talking about your experience, share specific results you've achieved. Instead of listing your services, demonstrate your expertise through case studies. Instead of promoting your products, solve problems that your products address. This builds trust and authority while naturally leading people toward your solutions. They see the value you provide before you ask for anything in return. They understand your capabilities through demonstration, not declaration. They move from stranger to prospect to customer through education, not persuasion. The partnership multiplication effect. While most entrepreneurs focus on building their own audiences, the smartest ones borrow audiences from others. They find partners who already have the attention they want and create mutually beneficial arrangements that expand everyone's reach. This isn't about traditional affiliate programs or simple cross-promotion. It's about creating genuine value for partner audiences while advancing your own business goals. You might co-create content that serves both audiences. You might provide exclusive resources to a partner's community. You might collaborate on events, webinars, or research projects. The key is finding partners whose audiences overlap with yours, but whose offerings complement rather than compete with yours. A marketing consultant might partner with a sales trainer. A business coach might collaborate with an accountant. A software company might team up with an implementation specialist. These partnerships can multiply your reach overnight. Instead of building an audience of thousands over months, you can access audiences of tens of thousands immediately. Instead of competing for attention, you're sharing it. Instead of starting from zero, you're leveraging existing trust and authority. But the real power comes from the compound effect. Each successful partnership opens doors to new partnerships. Each collaboration builds your reputation and credibility. Each shared audience becomes a potential source of direct customers, referral partners, or future collaborators. The owned asset advantage. While borrowed attention can accelerate growth, owned attention creates sustainable advantage. Every distribution strategy should ultimately drive people to assets you control. Email lists, SMS subscribers, social media followers, community members, or website visitors. Owned assets protect you from algorithm changes, platform policies, and competitive pressures. They give you direct access to your audience without intermediaries. They allow you to communicate on your timeline, with your message, in your format. The goal isn't to capture everyone who encounters your content. It's to capture the right people at the right time with the right offer. A small, engaged email list of ideal prospects is more valuable than a large, disengaged social media following of random people. This requires creating compelling lead magnets that attract your ideal customers while filtering out everyone else. Instead of generic resources that appeal to everyone, create specific solutions that solve urgent problems for your target market. Make them valuable enough that people would pay for them, then give them away in exchange for contact information. Once you have their attention, nurture it systematically. Provide ongoing value through regular communication. Share insights, case studies, and resources that reinforce your expertise. Build relationships before you need them. Create trust before you ask for business. The measurement that matters. Distribution without measurement is just expensive hope. You need clear metrics that connect channel activity to business outcomes. Not just vanity metrics like followers or impressions, but business metrics like leads, customers, and revenue. Every channel should have specific goals and success criteria. Some channels might be optimized for awareness and reach. Others might focus on lead generation and conversion. Still others might prioritize customer retention and expansion. The key is understanding the role each channel plays in your overall customer journey. Some channels are better for attracting cold prospects, others excel at nurturing warm leads. Still others are ideal for converting ready buyers or expanding existing customers. Track the metrics that matter for each channel's purpose. Measure cost per lead, not just cost per click. Monitor customer lifetime value, not just conversion rates. Analyze attribution across multiple touchpoints, not just last-click conversions. Use this data to optimize your distribution mix continuously. Double down on channels that generate high-quality leads at low costs. Reduce investment in channels that produce vanity metrics without business results. Test new channels systematically while maintaining focus on proven winners. The compound effect of consistent distribution. When you get distribution right, the benefits compound in unexpected ways. Successful content creates social proof that makes future content more credible. Satisfied customers become advocates who expand your reach organically. Strong performance on one channel opens opportunities on others. Your reputation builds across channels simultaneously. People see you in multiple places and assume you're more established than you are. They encounter your content repeatedly and develop familiarity that breeds trust. They witness your expertise consistently and begin to see you as the obvious choice for their needs. This creates a flywheel effect where distribution becomes easier over time. Platforms start featuring your content because it performs well. Partners seek you out because of your track record. Customers refer others because they've seen your broader presence. But the real advantage is the learning that accumulates across channels. Each platform teaches you something about your audience, your message, or your market. Each campaign reveals insights that improve future campaigns. Each success provides templates that can be adapted for new opportunities. The entrepreneurs who master distribution don't just build businesses, they build movements. They become the go-to source for their expertise. They set the conversation that others follow. They create the demand that others try to capture. But distribution alone isn't enough. Even the best distributed offer will fail if it arrives at the wrong time. That's where the next principle becomes crucial, one that teaches you to spot and seize the temporary windows when entire markets shift, creating opportunities that last for months but reward the prepared for years. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just distribute their current offers, they position themselves to capture the waves of change that create entirely new categories of demand. But first, you need to understand why most opportunities are invisible until they're gone, and how the fastest-moving entrepreneurs develop the radar to see them coming. Chapter 5: Monopoly Moments. In 2007, Reed Hastings made a decision that seemed insane to everyone watching. Netflix was dominating the DVD by mail market, generating hundreds of millions in revenue and growing steadily. Then Hastings announced they were betting the company on something called streaming, a technology most people had never heard of, delivered over internet connections that barely worked. Wall Street analysts called it suicide. Blockbuster executives laughed. Even Netflix's own board questioned the timing. The streaming quality was terrible. Broadband wasn't widespread. The content library was tiny compared to their DVD catalog. But Hastings saw something others missed, a window of opportunity that would slam shut within months, not years. Today, Netflix is worth over $150 billion. Blockbuster is a punchline, and the companies that waited for streaming to be proven spent the next decade paying catch-up taxes they're still paying today. This is the power of monopoly moments. Brief windows when the world shifts faster than incumbents can react, creating temporary monopolies for those bold enough to move first and smart enough to move right. The invisible advantage that changes everything. Most entrepreneurs think monopolies are permanent fixtures, massive companies with insurmountable moats that took decades to build. They're wrong. The most valuable monopolies are temporary, lasting months or years, not decades, and they're available to anyone with the vision to spot them and the speed to seize them. These windows open when technology, regulation, or behavior changes faster than established players can adapt. For a brief period, you can be the only one who can deliver a specific outcome. Not because you're smarter or better funded, but because you're positioned to move when others are paralyzed by their existing success. The entrepreneurs who understand this don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't need massive resources or revolutionary innovations. They just need to recognize when the ground is shifting and position themselves to benefit from the earthquake. Think about the explosion of remote work tools during 2020. Zoom wasn't the first video conferencing company. Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and Skype all existed. But when the world suddenly needed simple, reliable video meetings, Zoom was positioned perfectly. Their one-click-to-join philosophy, which seemed like a minor feature in 2019, became a massive competitive advantage when millions of people needed to work from home immediately. The window lasted about 6 months. During that time, Zoom captured market share that would have taken years to build under normal conditions. They set the standard for video meetings. They became the verb, People Zoomed instead of video called. They built network effects that made switching costly even after competitors caught up. This is what monopoly moments look like. Brief periods when being first and fast matters more than being best and biggest. The Netflix playbook for seizing windows. When Hastings decided to pivot Netflix towards streaming, he wasn't making a blind bet. He was following a systematic approach that any entrepreneur can replicate. He identified weak signals that suggested a major shift was coming. He ran small experiments to validate the opportunity. Then he moved decisively when the data confirmed his thesis. The weak signals were everywhere if you knew how to look. Broadband adoption was accelerating. Video compression technology was improving. Consumer behavior was shifting toward on-demand entertainment. The economics of content delivery were changing. Each signal alone meant nothing. Together, they suggested that streaming would eventually replace physical media. But Hastings didn't wait for certainty. He started experimenting with streaming while Netflix was still growing their DVD business. The early streaming service was terrible. Limited content, poor quality, frequent buffering. But it gave Netflix crucial learning about customer behavior, technical requirements, and content economics. Most importantly, it gave them a head start on building the infrastructure that would matter when streaming became mainstream. While competitors were optimizing their existing businesses, Netflix was building the capabilities they'd need for the future business. When broadband reached critical mass and streaming became viable, Netflix was already years ahead. They had the technology, the content relationships, and the customer base. Competitors had to start from scratch while Netflix accelerated into their lead. But the real genius was what happened next. Instead of defending their streaming advantage, Hastings used it to create an even bigger moat: original content. Netflix began producing shows and movies that could only be watched on their platform. This turned their temporary technology advantage into a permanent content advantage. Competitors could eventually match Netflix's streaming technology, but they couldn't access Netflix's exclusive content. The temporary monopoly in delivery became a permanent monopoly in programming. The 3 dangerous myths about timing. Most entrepreneurs miss monopoly moments because they believe 3 myths about timing and risk. The first myth is that first movers always win. This seems logical until you realize that being first often means being wrong. The real advantage goes to fast followers who learn from first mover mistakes while the window is still open. Consider the social media landscape. Friendster was first, but Facebook won. MySpace had more users, but Facebook captured more value. The key wasn't being first, it was being better when it mattered most. The winning strategy isn't to be first, it's to be fast when the opportunity becomes clear. You want to move quickly enough to capture the window, but not so quickly that you waste resources on false signals. The second myth is that you should wait until opportunities are proven. This feels safe until you realize that proven means too late. By the time an opportunity is obvious to everyone, the economics become average and the competition becomes intense. The smart approach is to run small experiments while opportunities are still uncertain. You're not betting the company on unproven trends. You're investing small amounts to gain early learning and positioning. If the trend materializes, you're ready to scale. If it doesn't, you've lost little. The third myth is that monopoly moments are too risky for normal entrepreneurs. This assumes you need to make massive bets on uncertain outcomes. But the most successful monopoly moment strategies involve many small bets, not one big gamble. You're not trying to predict the future. You're positioning to benefit from multiple possible futures. You run experiments across different trends, technologies, and markets. Most will fail, but the ones that succeed can more than compensate for the failures. The early warning system. Spotting monopoly moments before they're obvious requires building an early warning system. You need sources of information that most entrepreneurs ignore and frameworks for separating signals from noise. Start by identifying the forces that could disrupt your industry, new technologies that could change how value is created or delivered, regulatory changes that could shift competitive dynamics, cultural shifts that could alter customer behavior, economic trends that could create new needs or eliminate old ones. Then build a systematic process for tracking these forces. Follow researchers and analysts who study emerging trends, monitor patent filings and academic papers, track regulatory proposals and policy discussions, watch for changes in customer behavior and competitor strategy. The key is looking for convergence, multiple weak signals pointing in the same direction. A single trend might be noise. Multiple trends creating the same opportunity suggest a real shift is coming. But information alone isn't enough. You need a framework for testing whether signals represent real opportunities. This is where microbetting becomes crucial. The art of microbetting. Instead of making large bets on uncertain trends, successful entrepreneurs make many small bets that test specific hypotheses. Each bet is designed to validate or invalidate a piece of the opportunity puzzle. A microbet might be a simple landing page that tests demand for a new type of service, a waitlist that gauges interest in an emerging solution, a pilot program that validates a new business model, a partnership that explores a new market. The key is making these bets small enough that failure doesn't hurt, but large enough that success provides meaningful learning. You're not trying to build the full solution. You're testing whether the opportunity is real and whether you're positioned to capture it. Each microbet should have clear success criteria and a defined timeline. You're not running open-ended experiments. You're testing specific hypotheses within specific timeframes. If a bet hits its success criteria, you scale it. If it doesn't, you kill it and move to the next test. This approach lets you explore multiple opportunities simultaneously without overcommitting to any single one. You're building a portfolio of options that position you to benefit from whichever trends actually materialize. Converting windows into moats. When a microbet succeeds and you identify a real monopoly moment, the goal shifts from testing to scaling. But scaling isn't just about growing faster. It's about converting your temporary advantage into lasting defensibility. The first step is locking in early adopters before competitors arrive. Offer founder pricing that rewards early customers with permanent discounts. Create exclusive communities that provide ongoing value beyond your core product. Build switching costs through integrations, data, and workflows that become harder to replace over time. The second step is building network effects that strengthen your position as you grow. Create platforms where customers benefit from each other's presence. Build marketplaces where supply and demand reinforce each other. Develop ecosystems where partners have incentives to deepen their integration with your solution. The third step is capturing the data and relationships that will matter when the window closes. Document case studies that prove your expertise in the new category. Build partnerships with key players who can provide distribution or credibility. Accumulate the intellectual property and know-how that will be valuable even when competitors catch up. The goal is to use your temporary monopoly to build permanent advantages. You want to emerge from the window not just with market share, but with moats that protect that market share over time. The portfolio approach to opportunity. The most successful monopoly moment strategies involve running multiple experiments across different timeframes and risk levels. Some bets target opportunities that could materialize in months. Others explore trends that might take years to develop. Some require minimal investment. Others demand significant resources if they succeed. This portfolio approach protects you from the unpredictability of timing while positioning you to benefit from multiple types of opportunities. You're not dependent on any single trend or technology. You're positioned to capture value from whichever shifts actually occur. The key is balancing exploration with exploitation. You want to allocate enough resources to current opportunities to capture their full value while reserving enough capacity to explore future opportunities that could be even more valuable. This requires discipline in both directions. You need the courage to kill experiments that aren't working, even if you're emotionally invested in them. and you need the conviction to scale experiments that are working, even if they require abandoning other opportunities. The compound effect of consistent experimentation. When you master the monopoly moment approach, something powerful happens. Each successful experiment teaches you something about spotting and seizing opportunities. Each failure provides data about what doesn't work. Each cycle improves your ability to recognize and capture the next window. You develop pattern recognition that helps you spot opportunities earlier. You build systems that let you test hypotheses faster. You create networks that provide better information and faster feedback. You accumulate resources that let you move more decisively when opportunities arise. Most importantly, you develop the confidence to act on incomplete information. You learn to distinguish between uncertainty and risk. You become comfortable making reversible decisions quickly while taking time on irreversible ones. This creates a compounding advantage over entrepreneurs who wait for certainty. While they're analyzing opportunities, you're testing them. While they're debating whether to move, you're already learning what works. While they're planning their entry, you're building your moat. The entrepreneurs who master monopoly moments don't just build successful businesses. They build the capability to build successful businesses repeatedly. They become opportunity engines that can spot and seize windows across different industries and timeframes. But seizing monopoly moments is only half the equation. Even the most perfectly timed opportunity will fail if you can't fund its execution. That's where the next principle becomes crucial, one that transforms the biggest constraint most entrepreneurs face into their greatest competitive advantage. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just capture monopoly moments, they engineer the cash flow systems that let them move faster and scale bigger than competitors who are still waiting for traditional financing. But first, you need to understand why cash timing, not cash amount, determines who wins and who watches from the sidelines. Chapter 6, Cash Compression. Two consultants sign identical $50,000 contracts on the same Monday morning. Both deliver the same quality of work. Both finish on schedule. Both satisfy their clients completely. 6 months later, one consultant has used that project to fund 3 new hires, launch a marketing campaign, and secure 2 additional contracts. The other is still waiting for the final payment and wondering why growth feels so slow. The difference wasn't the work they delivered or the value they created. It was the speed at which cash moved from their client's account to their bank account. One consultant understood that in business, timing isn't everything. It's the only thing that matters. This is the power of cash compression, the art of shrinking the time between yes and money in hand. When you master this principle, you don't just improve your cash flow, you transform your entire business model from reactive to proactive, from constrained to unlimited, from surviving to thriving. The hidden tax on every transaction. Most entrepreneurs unknowingly pay a massive tax on every transaction they complete, not to the government, but to time itself. They deliver value today, but receive payment weeks or months later. They fund their operations with credit while waiting for customers to pay. They make decisions based on projected cash flow instead of actual cash on hand. This delay between value delivery and cash receipt creates a hidden drag on everything they do. They can't invest in opportunities because they don't have liquid capital. They can't hire when they need help because payroll requires predictable cash flow. They can't take risks because they're already leveraged to the maximum. Meanwhile, their suppliers and vendors often operate on the same delayed payment model, but in reverse. They want payment upfront or within days of delivery. This creates a cash flow mismatch that forces entrepreneurs to become accidental financiers of their own businesses. Consider the typical service business model. You pitch a client, negotiate terms, sign a contract, deliver the work, send an invoice, and wait 30 to 60 days for payment. During this entire cycle, you're funding the client's project with your own cash or credit. You're essentially providing an interest-free loan to every customer while paying interest on your own business expenses. This model might have made sense in an era of paper checks and manual processing, but it's completely backwards in today's digital economy. When payments can be processed instantly and value can be delivered in real time, there's no reason to accept artificial delays that constrain your growth. The Amazon algorithm for infinite growth. Jeff Bezos figured this out early in Amazon's history. While competitors focused on profit margins and inventory turns, Bezos obsessed over something called the cash conversion cycle, the time between paying suppliers and collecting from customers. Traditional retailers had to buy inventory, store it in warehouses, market it to customers, sell it, and then wait for payment. This cycle often took 60-90 days, during which the retailer was essentially lending money to their own business. Bezos flipped this model completely. Amazon collected payment from customers immediately when they placed orders, but they didn't pay suppliers until 30 to 60 days later. This created a negative cash conversion cycle. Amazon got paid before they paid others. The result was extraordinary. Amazon could fund their growth entirely with customer cash. Every new sale generated immediate working capital that could be reinvested in inventory, logistics, or expansion. They didn't need bank loans or investor capital to grow. Their customers were financing their growth automatically. This cash flow advantage compounded over time. While competitors struggled with financing constraints, Amazon could invest aggressively in new markets, better technology, and lower prices. They could experiment with new business models because they had the cash flow to absorb failures. They could outlast competitors in price wars because their cash position was stronger. The same principle worked for Michael Dell's computer business. Dell collected payment when customers ordered computers, but didn't pay suppliers for components until weeks later. This negative cash conversion cycle funded Dell's explosive growth throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Both companies understood that cash timing, not cash amount, determines who wins in competitive markets. Having $1 million today is more valuable than having $2 million in 6 months, because today's cash can be invested to generate tomorrow's opportunities. The 3 myths keeping you slow. Most entrepreneurs resist cash compression because they believe 3 dangerous myths about payment timing and customer expectations. The first myth is that clients won't prepay for services. This seems logical until you realize that clients prepay for everything else in their lives: rent, insurance, subscriptions, memberships, and software licenses. The resistance to prepayment usually comes from the entrepreneur, not the client. Entrepreneurs worry that asking for deposits or upfront payment will seem unprofessional or desperate. But clients often prefer prepayment when it's positioned correctly. It removes uncertainty from their budgeting. It ensures priority access to your services. It demonstrates mutual commitment to the project's success. The key is framing prepayment as value, not payment. You're not asking for money up front. You're offering priority scheduling, dedicated resources, or founder-level attention. You're not demanding payment. You're providing certainty and removing risk from their decision. The second myth is that net 30 payment terms are industry standard and non-negotiable. This might be true for large corporations with established procurement processes, but it's completely false for small and medium businesses. Most payment terms are negotiable if you provide sufficient value in exchange. Smart entrepreneurs trade faster payment for other benefits. They offer early payment discounts that save clients money while accelerating cash flow. They provide additional services or extended warranties for clients who pay up front. They create payment plans that work for both parties while ensuring faster cash conversion. The third myth is that cash flow management is an accounting function that entrepreneurs can delegate or ignore. This is backwards thinking. Cash flow is the lifeblood of your business, and the terms you set determine how fast that blood flows. Founders who understand cash compression make it a core part of their business strategy, not an afterthought. The architecture of instant cash. Building a cash compression system starts with redesigning your payment architecture from the ground up. Instead of accepting industry defaults, you engineer payment flows that optimize for speed, certainty, and convenience. The foundation is the deposit system. Every engagement should begin with a meaningful deposit that reserves your capacity and funds initial work. This isn't a token gesture. It should be substantial enough to demonstrate commitment and cover your startup costs. 30 to 50% of the total project value is typical, but the exact amount depends on your industry and project timeline. The key is positioning deposits correctly. You're not asking for partial payment. You're reserving capacity in your schedule. You're not demanding money up front. You're ensuring you can dedicate resources to their project immediately. You're not creating financial risk for them. You're removing execution risk for both parties. Next comes milestone billing, tied to visible outcomes rather than time periods. Instead of invoicing monthly or at project completion, you bill when specific deliverables are completed and approved. This creates multiple cash flow events throughout the engagement while tying payment to value delivery. The milestones should be meaningful and measurable, not phase 1 complete, but website audit delivered and approved. Not month 2 payment, but first campaign launched and optimized. Each milestone represents a discrete value delivery that justifies immediate payment. Instant payment options eliminate the artificial delays built into traditional invoicing. Credit cards, ACH transfers, digital wallets, and payment platforms can process transactions in minutes, not weeks. The key is removing friction from the payment process while providing multiple options that work for different client preferences. Many entrepreneurs resist instant payment because they worry about transaction fees. This is short-sighted thinking. The cost of a 3% transaction fee is negligible compared to the cost of delayed cash flow. When you can reinvest cash immediately instead of waiting weeks for payment, the return on that acceleration far exceeds any processing costs. The supplier terms strategy. Cash compression isn't just about collecting faster, it's about paying slower. While you're accelerating cash collection from customers, you should be negotiating extended payment terms with suppliers and vendors. This creates a powerful arbitrage opportunity. You collect cash from customers in days while paying suppliers in weeks or months. The gap between collection and payment creates float, free working capital that you can use to fund growth, invest in opportunities, or simply maintain as a cash cushion. The key is timing these negotiations correctly. Don't ask for extended terms when you're desperate for credit. Ask when you're a valuable customer with a strong payment history. Position extended terms as a partnership benefit, not a financial necessity. Offer something in return: larger orders, longer commitments, or promotional opportunities. Many suppliers are willing to extend terms for reliable customers because it reduces their own administrative costs and improves customer retention. They'd rather have predictable payments in 45 days than uncertain payments in 30 days. The automation advantage. Manual payment processes create unnecessary delays and friction. Every step that requires human intervention is an opportunity for delay, error, or abandonment. Smart entrepreneurs automate as much of the payment process as possible. Automated invoicing triggers when milestones are completed. Automated payment reminders go out at predetermined intervals. Automated retry logic handles failed payments without human intervention. Automated dunning sequences escalate collection efforts systematically. This automation doesn't just speed up cash collection, it improves the client experience. Clients know exactly when payments are due and what triggers them. They receive consistent, professional communication about payment status. They can resolve payment issues quickly without lengthy back-and-forth communication. The goal is making payment so smooth and predictable that it becomes invisible. Clients focus on the value you're delivering, not the mechanics of paying for it. You focus on delivering results, not chasing payments. The compound effect of faster cash. When you compress your cash conversion cycle, the benefits compound in unexpected ways. Faster cash flow reduces financial stress, which improves decision quality. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. Better outcomes attract better clients. Better clients pay faster and refer others. You can invest in opportunities immediately instead of waiting for cash to arrive. You can hire help when you need it, not when you can afford it. You can experiment with new services or markets because you have the cash cushion to absorb failures. Your vendor relationships improve because you can pay promptly and negotiate from strength. Your client relationships improve because you can focus on delivery instead of collections. Your personal life improves because you're not constantly worried about cash flow. Most importantly, you can scale faster because cash isn't a constraint. Every new client generates immediate working capital that can fund the next client. Growth becomes self-funding instead of debt-dependent. The risk management framework. Cash compression does create new risks that need to be managed systematically. Faster payment collection can attract clients who aren't serious about implementation. Milestone billing can create disputes about deliverable quality. Automated systems can fail or create customer service issues. The key is building safeguards into your cash compression system, clear contracts that define deliverables and acceptance criteria, conditional guarantees that protect both parties, dispute resolution processes that handle conflicts quickly and fairly. You also need backup systems for when primary payment methods fail, alternative payment processors for when one goes down, manual override processes for when automation creates problems, customer service protocols for when clients have payment issues. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk, it's to manage risk while capturing the benefits of faster cash flow. Most payment issues can be resolved quickly if you have the right systems and processes in place. The measurement that drives improvement. Cash compression requires constant measurement and optimization. You need to track not just how much cash you're collecting, but how fast you're collecting it. Days sales outstanding, cash conversion cycle, and payment failure rates become key performance indicators. The most important metric is your cash conversion cycle, the time between when you start work and when you receive final payment. This should be measured weekly and optimized continuously. Every day you can remove from this cycle is a day of additional working capital. You should also track payment method preferences, milestone completion times, and client satisfaction with your payment process. This data helps you optimize the balance between cash flow speed and client experience. The entrepreneurs who master cash compression don't just track these metrics, they celebrate improvements. Reducing cash conversion cycle by 5 days might not seem significant, but over a year, it can free up tens of thousands of dollars in working capital. The strategic advantage of liquid capital. When you compress your cash conversion cycle, you gain something more valuable than improved cash flow. You gain optionality. Liquid capital gives you the freedom to say yes to opportunities that cash-constrained competitors must pass up. You can invest in new technology immediately when it becomes available. You can hire key talent when they become available, not when your budget allows it. You can enter new markets when timing is optimal, not when financing is available. This optionality compounds over time. Each opportunity you can seize because of strong cash flow creates additional opportunities. Each investment you can make immediately generates returns that fund future investments. Each hire you can make quickly improves your capacity to serve more clients faster. The entrepreneurs who understand cash compression don't just build faster-growing businesses, they build more resilient businesses. They can weather economic downturns because they have cash reserves. They can adapt to market changes because they're not constrained by financing. They can take calculated risks because they have the capital to absorb failures. But cash compression is only part of the equation. Even the fastest cash flow won't help if you're constantly starting from zero with each new client. That's where the next principle becomes crucial, one that transforms your customers from one-time buyers into long-term financiers of your growth. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just compress their cash cycles, they engineer systems where customers eagerly fund future development, expansion, and innovation. But first, you need to understand why traditional financing is becoming obsolete and how customer finance growth creates advantages that venture capital and bank loans simply cannot match. Chapter 7: Client Financing. In 2008, Elon Musk stood in front of a room full of skeptics and made an audacious request. He wanted people to give him $5,000 for a car that didn't exist, built by a company that had never mass-produced anything, with a delivery date 3 years in the future. The Tesla Roadster existed only as a prototype. The manufacturing process was unproven. The company was burning cash and facing potential bankruptcy. Any rational person would have walked away. Instead, thousands of people lined up to hand over their deposits. By the time the first Roadster rolled off the production line, Tesla had collected over $40 million in customer deposits. This wasn't just revenue, it was validation, financing, and marketing rolled into one. Customers weren't just buying cars, they were funding the future of electric vehicles. This is the power of client financing, turning your customers into your investors, your revenue into your capital, and your demand into your growth engine. The hidden gold mine in every customer relationship. Most entrepreneurs think about customers in terms of transactions. They provide value, customers pay for it, and the relationship ends until the next purchase. This transactional thinking leaves enormous value on the table. Smart entrepreneurs see customers as capital partners. Every customer relationship contains multiple financing opportunities that most businesses never explore. Prepayments for future services, annual subscriptions that provide cash up front, lifetime packages that generate immediate capital, deposits that fund development of new offerings. The key insight is that customers often prefer to pay up front when the value proposition is clear and the risk is managed properly. They want to secure access to your services. They want to lock in current pricing. They want to ensure you'll be around to deliver on your promises. Meanwhile, you need capital to grow, improve, and serve them better. Traditional financing comes with strings attached: interest payments, equity dilution, or restrictive covenants. Customer financing comes with something better: validation that people actually want what you're building. This creates a perfect alignment of interests. Customers get certainty, priority access, and often better pricing. You get capital, validation, and deeper customer relationships. Everyone wins when the structure is designed correctly. The Berkshire Hathaway Blueprint. Warren Buffett discovered the power of client financing early in his career, though he called it something different: insurance float. When customers buy insurance policies, they pay premiums up front for coverage that might not be needed for years or decades. This creates an extraordinary financial structure. Berkshire Hathaway collects billions in premiums immediately, then invests that money while waiting to pay claims. The investment returns often exceed the claims, making the insurance business profitable even before considering underwriting profits. But the real genius is the compounding effect. As Berkshire grows, they collect more premiums, which generates more investment capital, which produces more returns, which funds more growth. The customers finance the expansion that allows Berkshire to serve more customers. This model has generated hundreds of billions in value over decades, not because Berkshire invented insurance, but because Buffett understood how to structure customer relationships to create sustainable financing advantages. The same principle works in completely different industries. Howard Schultz built Starbucks partly on gift card float, customers prepaying for coffee they'll consume later. At any given time, Starbucks holds billions in customer prepayments that can be invested or used to fund expansion. Software companies use annual subscriptions to collect 12 months of revenue up front while delivering value monthly. Consulting firms use retainers to secure ongoing revenue while providing priority access. Membership organizations use lifetime packages to generate immediate capital for long-term value delivery. The common thread isn't the industry or business model. It's the understanding that customers can be your best source of capital when the relationship is structured correctly. The 3 myths blocking your capital. Most entrepreneurs resist client financing because they believe three myths about customer behavior and business ethics. The first myth is that customers won't prepay for services or intangible products. This seems logical until you realize that customers prepay for everything from gym memberships to software licenses to streaming services. The resistance usually comes from the entrepreneur's discomfort with asking, not the customer's unwillingness to pay. Entrepreneurs worry that requesting prepayment seems desperate or unprofessional, but customers often prefer prepayment when it's positioned as value rather than payment. You're not asking for money up front, you're offering priority access, founder-level attention, or locked-in pricing. You're not demanding payment, you're providing certainty and removing future price risk. You're not creating financial burden, you're offering financial planning benefits. The second myth is that enterprise customers won't prepay because of procurement processes and corporate policies. This is often false. Many large companies prefer annual contracts that provide budget certainty and vendor stability. They'll pay up front for service level agreements, priority support, or compliance guarantees. The key is understanding what enterprise customers value beyond your core service. They value predictability, priority access, and risk mitigation. They'll pay premiums for these benefits when they're packaged correctly and tied to real business outcomes. The third myth is that subscription and prepayment models cap your profit potential. Entrepreneurs worry that predictable revenue means limited upside. This is backwards thinking. Predictable revenue creates the foundation for unlimited upside through upsells, expansions, and new product development. Subscription customers have higher lifetime value than one-time buyers. They provide more predictable cash flow, which enables better planning and investment. They offer more opportunities for expansion revenue through additional services or premium tiers. They create more defensible businesses because switching costs increase over time. The architecture of customer capital. Building a client financing system starts with understanding the different types of capital customers can provide. Each type serves different purposes and requires different structures. Deposit capital comes from customers who want to secure future access to your services. This might be a consulting client who pays a deposit to reserve your time next quarter, or a software customer who pays up front to guarantee access to a new feature you're developing. The key is positioning deposits as capacity reservation rather than payment. You're not asking for money, you're offering certainty in an uncertain world. You're not creating financial risk, you're removing execution risk for both parties. Subscription capital comes from customers who want ongoing access to your services or products. This creates predictable revenue streams that can fund operations, growth, and innovation. The key is designing subscription tiers that align with customer outcomes rather than your internal costs. Annual prepayment capital comes from customers who want to lock in current pricing or secure priority access. This generates immediate cash flow while creating customer switching costs. The key is offering meaningful incentives that make annual payment more attractive than monthly payment. Lifetime capital comes from customers who want permanent access to your services or community. This generates the largest immediate cash flow, but requires careful management to ensure long-term profitability. The key is pricing lifetime packages high enough to cover future costs while providing genuine value. The Tesla playbook for pre-selling everything. When Elon Musk launched Tesla's pre-order program, he wasn't just collecting deposits, he was creating a movement. Customers weren't just buying cars, they were joining a mission to accelerate sustainable transportation. The genius was in the structure. Deposits were refundable, which reduced perceived risk. Delivery timelines were transparent, which managed expectations. Progress updates were regular, which maintained engagement. The community was exclusive, which increased perceived value. Most importantly, the pre-order process validated demand before production began. Tesla could see exactly how many people wanted each model, in which configurations, at which price points. This eliminated the guesswork from manufacturing planning and inventory management. The same principles work for service businesses. You can pre-sell consulting engagements by offering early bird pricing for programs that start next quarter. You can pre-sell software features by collecting deposits from customers who want priority access. You can pre-sell educational content by offering founder pricing for courses you're developing. The key is making the pre-sale feel like an opportunity, not a request. You're offering early access to something valuable, not asking for financial help. You're providing insider status, not creating payment obligations. The subscription transformation strategy. Converting one-time customers into subscription customers requires rethinking your value proposition from the ground up. Instead of selling projects, you sell outcomes. Instead of delivering once, you deliver continuously. Instead of solving problems, you prevent them. This transformation often requires bundling multiple services into ongoing relationships. A web designer might become a digital marketing partner. A consultant might become a strategic advisor. A software tool might become a complete platform. The key is identifying the ongoing needs that your one-time service addresses. Customers don't just want a website, they want ongoing traffic, leads, and conversions. They don't just want a strategy document, they want ongoing guidance and support. They don't just want a tool, they want ongoing results. When you can deliver ongoing value, customers will pay ongoing fees. When you can prevent ongoing problems, customers will pay ongoing premiums. When you can provide ongoing peace of mind, customers will pay ongoing subscriptions. The annual prepayment advantage. Annual prepayment creates a powerful cash flow advantage while strengthening customer relationships. Customers get budget certainty and often significant discounts. You get immediate cash flow and reduced churn risk. The key is making annual payment feel like a smart financial decision rather than a cash flow favor. Offer meaningful discounts that save customers money. Provide additional services that increase value. Include price protection that locks in current rates. Many customers prefer annual payment because it simplifies their budgeting and reduces administrative overhead. They'd rather pay once and forget about it than deal with monthly invoices and approvals. You can enhance the appeal by offering exclusive benefits to annual customers, priority support, early access to new features, or invitations to exclusive events. These perks cost you little but create significant perceived value. The lifetime package strategy. Lifetime packages generate the most immediate capital but require the most careful planning. You're essentially selling permanent access to your services in exchange for a large upfront payment. The key is pricing lifetime packages high enough to cover your long-term costs while providing genuine value to customers. This requires understanding your customer lifetime value, your cost structure, and your long-term business model. Lifetime packages work best when they include community access, ongoing updates, or services that become more valuable over time. Software companies offer lifetime licenses with ongoing updates. Educational companies offer lifetime access to course libraries. Consulting firms offer lifetime access to resources and community. The proceeds from lifetime packages should be invested in assets that generate ongoing value for those customers. This might be content development, community building, or service improvements that benefit all lifetime members. The risk management framework. Client financing creates new risks that must be managed systematically. Customers who prepay have higher expectations and lower tolerance for delays or quality issues. Cash flow from prepayments can create false confidence about business health. Lifetime commitments can become unprofitable if costs increase faster than anticipated. The key is building safeguards into your client financing system. Ring-fence prepayment funds to ensure you can deliver on commitments. Maintain reserve funds to handle refunds or service issues. Monitor unit economics to ensure long-term profitability. You also need clear communication systems to manage customer expectations. Regular updates on progress, transparent timelines for delivery, and proactive communication about any delays or issues. Customers who prepay deserve more communication, not less. The compound effect of customer capital. When you master client financing, the benefits compound in unexpected ways. Predictable cash flow enables better planning and investment. Customer validation reduces market risk. Deeper relationships create expansion opportunities. You can invest in better systems because you have the capital to fund improvements. You can hire better talent because you can offer competitive compensation. You can take calculated risks because you have customer-funded cushions. Your customers become advocates because they're invested in your success. They refer others because they want you to succeed. They provide feedback because they want you to improve. They expand their engagement because they trust your direction. Most importantly, you create a sustainable competitive advantage. Competitors can copy your features, but they can't copy your customer-funded war chest. They can match your pricing, but they can't match your cash flow advantages. They can compete for new customers, but they can't compete for your existing customer capital. The strategic transformation. Client financing isn't just a cash flow strategy, it's a complete business model transformation. You move from project-based thinking to relationship-based thinking, from transaction optimization to lifetime value optimization, from revenue generation to capital generation. This transformation requires new systems, new metrics, and new mindsets. You need to track customer lifetime value, not just project profitability. You need to optimize for retention, not just acquisition. You need to invest in long-term relationships, not just short-term results. But the payoff is extraordinary. Businesses built on client financing are more predictable, more profitable, and more valuable than businesses built on traditional transaction models. They weather economic downturns better because they have customer-funded reserves. They grow faster because they have customer-validated demand. They exit for higher multiples because they have predictable revenue streams. The entrepreneurs who master client financing don't just build businesses, they build capital engines that fund their own growth while serving customer needs. They create win-win relationships that strengthen over time rather than ending with each transaction. But even the most sophisticated client financing system will fail if customers don't trust you enough to prepay. That's where the next principle becomes crucial, one that compresses the time between first contact and confident commitment from months to days. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just ask for customer capital. They engineer trust systems that make prepayment feel like the obvious, safe, smart decision. But first, you need to understand why trust, not price, is the real barrier to every sale, and how the fastest-growing companies build belief at the speed of light. Chapter 8, Trust Velocity. Two entrepreneurs launch identical services on the same day. Same expertise, same pricing, same target market. One closes their first client in 3 days. The other is still building relationships 3 months later, wondering why prospects keep saying they need to think about it. The difference wasn't the quality of their service or the strength of their pitch. It was the speed at which they could transform a skeptical stranger into a confident buyer. The first entrepreneur understood something the second never learned. In business, trust isn't built over time, it's engineered through evidence. And when you can compress months of relationship building into days of proof stacking, everything changes. This is the power of trust velocity, the ability to accelerate belief so fast that buying becomes inevitable. The invisible barrier to every sale. Most entrepreneurs think price is the biggest objection they face. They spend countless hours perfecting their pricing strategy, creating payment plans, and justifying their fees. But price is rarely the real barrier to a sale. The real barrier is trust, or more precisely, the lack of sufficient evidence to make trust feel rational. Every prospect is asking the same fundamental questions. Can this person actually deliver what they're promising? Will I get the results they're describing? Am I making a smart decision or a costly mistake? These questions exist regardless of price. A prospect who doesn't trust you won't buy at any price. A prospect who trusts you completely will rarely negotiate. The problem is that most entrepreneurs try to build trust through relationship building, which is slow, inefficient, and doesn't scale. They schedule multiple coffee meetings, send follow-up emails, and gradually warm up prospects over weeks or months. This approach might work for high-touch, high-value sales, but it's completely inadequate for the speed of modern business. Smart entrepreneurs build trust through evidence, not time. They stack proof so systematically and comprehensively that strangers can move from skepticism to confidence in a single conversation. They don't ask prospects to trust them. They make trust the only logical conclusion. The PayPal paradox that solved everything. When Peter Thiel and Max Levchin launched PayPal, they faced an impossible trust problem. They were asking people to send money to strangers over the internet using a company that had existed for months, not decades. Every element of the transaction required trust that didn't exist. Traditional approaches to building trust, brand advertising, relationship building, gradual market education would have taken years. PayPal didn't have years. They needed to solve the trust problem immediately or die. Their solution was brilliant in its simplicity. They made trust visible and immediate. Instead of asking people to trust PayPal, they created systems that made trust unnecessary. Buyer protection guaranteed that purchases would be refunded if anything went wrong. Seller verification systems displayed trust signals that buyers could evaluate instantly. Transaction histories showed real activity from real people. Security badges and encryption notices made safety visible. But the real genius was the proof loop they created. Every successful transaction generated evidence that made the next transaction more likely. Satisfied buyers left feedback that convinced other buyers. Successful sellers attracted more sellers. The platform became more trustworthy as more people used it. PayPal didn't build trust through marketing. They engineered trust through evidence. They created systems that generated proof automatically, scaled trust mechanically, and made belief feel inevitable. The result was explosive growth that traditional trust building could never have achieved. PayPal went from startup to acquisition in less than 3 years, largely because they solved the trust velocity problem that killed most online payment companies. The Shopify strategy for visible proof. Toby Lutke faced a similar challenge when building Shopify. How do you convince small business owners to trust a relatively unknown platform with their entire online presence? How do you compete with established players who had years of market presence and customer relationships? Lutke's answer was to make Shopify's success visible everywhere. Instead of hiding customer stores behind generic templates, Shopify celebrated them. Instead of keeping success stories private, they made them public. Instead of asking prospects to imagine success, they showed them exactly what success looked like. Every Shopify store became a living testimonial. Prospects could see real businesses selling real products to real customers. They could browse successful stores, analyze their design choices, and envision their own success. The proof wasn't theoretical, it was tangible and immediate. Shopify also built an ecosystem that amplified trust signals. App developers, theme designers, and service providers all had incentives to showcase Shopify's capabilities. Each partner became a proof point. Each integration became evidence of platform stability. Each success story became social proof for future customers. The community aspect was crucial. Shopify merchants shared their experiences, challenges, and victories. Prospects could see not just polished case studies, but real conversations between real business owners. They could ask questions and get honest answers from people who had no incentive to lie. This approach transformed Shopify from a product into a movement. Prospects weren't just buying software. They were joining a community of successful entrepreneurs. The trust wasn't just in the platform. It was in the ecosystem of people who had already succeeded with it. The 3 trust myths that keep you slow. Most entrepreneurs fail at trust velocity because they believe 3 myths about how trust actually works. The first myth is that testimonials are sufficient proof. They collect a few positive quotes from happy customers and assume that's enough to convince prospects. But generic testimonials are weak evidence. Great service or highly recommended tells prospects nothing useful. These statements could apply to any business in any industry. They don't address specific concerns, demonstrate specific outcomes, or provide specific evidence. Effective proof is specific, measurable, and relevant. Instead of increased sales, you want increased sales by 47% in 90 days. Instead of great results, you want reduced customer acquisition cost from $127 to $83 while improving lead quality. Instead of professional service, you want delivered project 2 weeks ahead of schedule with 0 revision requests. The specificity makes the proof credible. The measurements make it verifiable. The relevance makes it applicable to the prospect's situation. The second myth is that guarantees attract problem customers and abusers. Entrepreneurs worry that offering strong guarantees will result in frivolous refund requests and difficult clients. So they either avoid guarantees entirely or bury them in fine print that makes them meaningless. This thinking is backwards. Strong guarantees actually filter out problem customers while attracting ideal ones. Problem customers are typically price-focused and commitment-averse. They're unlikely to engage with businesses that have high standards and clear expectations. Meanwhile, ideal customers appreciate guarantees because they demonstrate confidence and reduce risk. They're more likely to move forward quickly when they know they're protected. They're also more likely to be satisfied because their expectations are properly set. The key is making guarantees conditional on customer behavior. Instead of unconditional money-back guarantees, offer performance guarantees tied to customer inputs. If you implement our recommendations and don't see a 20% improvement in 60 days, we'll refund your investment and pay you $1,000 for your time. The third myth is that big-name logos and celebrity endorsements are the most powerful forms of social proof. Entrepreneurs chase famous clients and well-known brands, assuming these associations will impress prospects. But relevance beats recognition every time. A case study from a similar business in the same industry is more persuasive than a testimonial from a Fortune 500 company in a different sector. Prospects want to see themselves in your success stories, not be impressed by your famous clients. The most effective social proof mirrors the prospect's situation as closely as possible. Same industry, similar size, comparable challenges, relevant time frame. When prospects can see themselves in your case studies, trust becomes inevitable. The evidence architecture system. Building trust velocity requires systematic evidence architecture. You need to map every claim you make and match it with specific proof. You need to identify every concern prospects might have and address it with credible evidence. You need to create proof that's not just convincing, but overwhelming. Start by listing every claim in your marketing, sales materials, and proposals. We increase conversion rates. We reduce costs. We improve efficiency. We deliver on time. Each claim needs supporting evidence that's specific, recent, and relevant. Then identify the proof gaps. Where are you making claims without evidence? Where is your evidence weak, vague, or outdated? Where are you asking prospects to trust you instead of showing them why they should? Fill these gaps systematically. Run pilot programs that generate case studies. Document your processes to show how you deliver results. Capture before and after data that demonstrates your impact. Record client testimonials that address specific concerns. The goal is creating decision-grade proof for every aspect of your value proposition. Prospects shouldn't have to trust you. They should be able to verify everything you claim through evidence you provide. The specificity advantage. Vague proof is weak proof. Increased sales could mean anything. Improved efficiency is meaningless without context. Great results tells prospects nothing useful. Specific proof is powerful proof. Increased sales by 34% in 127 days is credible because it's precise. Reduced processing time from 47 minutes to 12 minutes is compelling because it's measurable. Delivered project 8 days ahead of schedule with 0 change requests is convincing because it's verifiable. The specificity makes your claims believable. Round numbers feel made up. Precise numbers feel real. Generic timeframes feel vague. Specific dates feel accurate. This extends beyond numbers to names, contexts, and circumstances. Instead of a client in the technology sector, use Sarah Chen, CTO of Dataflow Systems. Instead of recent project, use Q3 2024 implementation. Instead of similar business, use B2B SaaS company with 50 to 200 employees. The more specific your proof, the more credible it becomes. The more credible it becomes, the faster trust develops. The faster trust develops, the quicker prospects buy. The mirror case study method. The most powerful proof mirrors the prospect's exact situation. Same industry, similar size, comparable challenges, relevant outcomes. When prospects can see themselves in your case studies, objections evaporate and trust accelerates. This requires building libraries of proof for different segments. Technology companies need to see technology case studies. Manufacturing businesses need manufacturing examples. Startups need startup stories. Enterprise clients need enterprise proof. Each case study should follow a specific structure that addresses common concerns. The situation that mirrors the prospect's challenges. The solution that demonstrates your approach. The results that prove your effectiveness. The timeline that shows realistic expectations. But don't just show outcomes. Show process. Prospects want to understand how you achieved the results, not just what results you achieved. They want to see the methodology, the milestones, the problem-solving approach. They want to envision themselves going through the same process and achieving similar results. Include the client's voice whenever possible. Direct quotes about their experience, their concerns, their satisfaction. Video testimonials that show real people describing real results. Written case studies that include the client's perspective on your process and outcomes. The guarantee architecture. Strategic guarantees accelerate trust by removing risk from the buyer's decision, but guarantees must be designed carefully to protect both parties while demonstrating confidence. The most effective guarantees are conditional rather than unconditional. They're tied to specific outcomes and require specific inputs from the client. This protects you from unreasonable demands while demonstrating your confidence in your ability to deliver. Performance guarantees tie your compensation to specific results. If we don't increase your conversion rate by at least 25% in 90 days, you don't pay. Satisfaction guarantees ensure client happiness with your process and communication. If you're not completely satisfied with our service quality, we'll refund your investment. Service level guarantees demonstrate your commitment to professional standards. We respond to all communications within 4 hours during business days. Timeline guarantees show your confidence in your delivery process. We complete all projects within the agreed timeline or extend our service at no charge. The key is making guarantees meaningful but achievable. They should address real client concerns while reflecting realistic expectations. They should demonstrate confidence without creating unreasonable risk. The proof distribution strategy. Having great proof doesn't help if prospects never see it. You need to distribute evidence strategically across every touch point in your customer journey. Your website should lead with proof, not promises. Case studies should be prominent on your homepage. Testimonials should appear throughout your service pages. Results should be quantified in your headlines and subheadings. Your sales materials should be proof-heavy. Proposals should include relevant case studies. Presentations should feature specific results. Follow-up emails should share additional evidence that addresses concerns raised during conversations. Your content marketing should showcase proof consistently. Blog posts should include case study examples. Social media should highlight client successes. Speaking engagements should feature real results from real clients. The goal is making proof unavoidable. Prospects should encounter evidence of your effectiveness at every stage of their evaluation process. They should see proof before they ask for it, during their consideration, and after they've made their decision. The compound effect of systematic trust. When you build trust velocity systematically, the benefits compound in unexpected ways. Each successful client generates proof that makes the next sale easier. Each case study becomes a sales tool that works while you sleep. Each testimonial becomes social proof that attracts similar clients. Your sales cycles shorten because prospects spend less time evaluating and more time buying. Your close rates improve because trust removes the primary barrier to purchase. Your pricing power increases because trusted providers can charge premium rates. Your referral rates improve because satisfied clients become advocates. Your reputation builds faster because proof spreads organically. Your marketing becomes more effective because evidence-based claims outperform promise-based claims. Most importantly, you create a sustainable competitive advantage. Competitors can copy your services, but they can't copy your proof. They can match your pricing, but they can't match your credibility. They can compete for attention, but they can't compete with your evidence. The trust velocity flywheel. Trust velocity creates a self-reinforcing cycle that accelerates over time. Better proof leads to faster sales. Faster sales lead to more clients. More clients lead to more proof. More proof leads to even faster sales. This flywheel effect separates successful entrepreneurs from struggling ones. Successful entrepreneurs accumulate proof faster than they consume it. Each client interaction generates more evidence than it requires. Each success story creates multiple sales opportunities. Struggling entrepreneurs consume proof faster than they accumulate it. They rely on the same few case studies for months or years. They make claims they can't support with evidence. They ask prospects to trust them instead of showing them why they should. The entrepreneurs who master trust velocity don't just build businesses. They build proof engines that generate credibility automatically. They create systems that turn every client success into sales acceleration. They engineer trust so systematically that buying becomes inevitable. But trust velocity is only one piece of the puzzle. Even the most credible offer will plateau if it's not amplified by the right leverage systems. That's where the final principle comes in, one that ties everything together into a compounding machine that works while you sleep. The smartest entrepreneurs don't just build trust. They engineer systems that multiply their efforts infinitely, turning single actions into exponential outcomes. But first, you need to understand why most businesses hit invisible ceilings and how the three forms of leverage can shatter those limits forever. Chapter 9. Endless Leverage. Reed Hastings sits in his office in 2013, watching a number on his screen that would make most CEOs panic. Netflix is spending $100 million on a single TV show, House of Cards, with no guarantee anyone will watch it. Wall Street analysts are calling it reckless. Traditional media executives are laughing. Even Netflix board members are nervous about the bet. But Hastings sees something others miss. He's not just buying a TV show, he's engineering a leverage machine that will compound for decades. House of Cards isn't content. It's code that scales globally without additional marginal cost. It's capital that buys subscriber loyalty and pricing power. It's content that multiplies trust and creates switching costs. 5 years later, Netflix is worth $150 billion. House of Cards has been watched by hundreds of millions of people across dozens of countries. The $100 million investment has generated billions in subscriber value and competitive advantage. This is the power of endless leverage, the ability to turn single actions into exponential outcomes that compound forever. The three forces that multiply everything. Throughout this book, you've learned 8 principles that can transform your business from ordinary to extraordinary. But principles alone aren't enough. To create truly explosive growth, you need to amplify these principles through the 3 fundamental forms of leverage that separate billionaires from millionaires, market leaders from followers, and legends from footnotes. Code leverage scales your actions without scaling your effort. This isn't just software, it's any system that lets one input create infinite outputs. Templates that serve thousands of clients, automation that handles millions of transactions, processes that work whether you're asleep or awake. Capital leverage buys you time and acceleration. Not just money, but access to opportunities, inventory, talent, and distribution that would take years to build organically. Capital lets you move faster than bootstrapped competitors and cushions you against volatility. Content leverage multiplies your trust and distribution infinitely. One piece of content can influence millions of people. One case study can close thousands of sales. One video can build authority that lasts for years. When you layer these three forms of leverage on top of the principles you've learned, something magical happens. Your efforts don't just add up, they multiply. Each cycle becomes easier than the last. Each success creates the foundation for bigger successes. The Netflix formula for infinite scale. When Hastings decided to invest in original content, he wasn't just buying shows. He was building a leverage machine that would compound across all three dimensions simultaneously. The code leverage was obvious. Once House of Cards was produced, it could be watched by one person or 100 million people with no additional cost. Unlike traditional TV networks that had to negotiate distribution deals in each market, Netflix could instantly deliver content globally through their streaming platform. The capital leverage was subtler but more powerful. By owning content instead of licensing it, Netflix eliminated ongoing royalty payments while building a library that became more valuable over time. They could reinvest subscriber revenue into more content, which attracted more subscribers, which generated more revenue for content. The content leverage was the real genius. Original shows didn't just entertain, they created social proof, generated media coverage, and built cultural relevance. House of Cards made Netflix a serious player in entertainment. Stranger Things made them a cultural phenomenon. The Crown made them a prestige brand. Each show reinforced Netflix's positioning while creating switching costs for subscribers. You can't watch Netflix originals anywhere else. The more shows you love, the harder it becomes to cancel your subscription. This three-dimensional leverage strategy transformed Netflix from a DVD by mail service into a global entertainment empire. They didn't just grow, they created a new category and dominated it completely. The system integration that changes everything. The 8 principles you've learned aren't independent tactics. They're interconnected systems that amplify each other when properly integrated. Value velocity makes distribution edges more effective. Cash compression enables client financing. Trust velocity accelerates monopoly moment capture. But the real power comes when you layer the leverage triad on top of these integrated systems. Code automates your value delivery. Capital accelerates your distribution. Content multiplies your trust. Each form of leverage makes the others more powerful. Consider how this works in practice. You use value velocity to create offers that deliver outcomes fast with minimal risk. You automate the delivery through code leverage, templates, systems, and processes that scale without additional effort. You use capital leverage to fund distribution that reaches more prospects faster. You use content leverage to build trust that converts prospects into clients automatically. The result is a business that grows exponentially rather than linearly. Each new client doesn't just add revenue, they add proof that attracts more clients. Each successful outcome doesn't just satisfy one customer, it creates content that influences thousands of prospects. Each dollar of profit doesn't just improve your margins, it funds systems that generate more profit. The anti-fragile advantage. When you master endless leverage, you don't just build a successful business, you build an anti-fragile one. Instead of being damaged by volatility and change, you benefit from it. Platform shifts become opportunities, not threats. Economic downturns become competitive advantages, not survival challenges. This happens because leverage creates redundancy and optionality. Multiple distribution channels protect you from algorithm changes. Diverse revenue streams cushion you against market shifts. Automated systems free you to focus on strategy instead of operations. Your cash compression and client financing systems ensure you have capital when others are constrained. Your trust velocity systems let you capture market share when competitors are struggling with credibility. Your monopoly moment systems position you to benefit from disruption while others are paralyzed by uncertainty. The entrepreneurs who understand endless leverage don't just weather storms, They use storms to accelerate past competitors who are focused on survival instead of growth. The relationship revolution. Endless leverage doesn't just transform your business. It transforms your relationships with clients, partners, and team members. When your systems work automatically, you can focus on value creation instead of task management. When your outcomes are predictable, you can make promises with confidence. When your growth is systematic, you can share success with everyone who contributes. Clear promises reduce friction in every relationship. Clients know exactly what to expect and when to expect it. Team members understand their roles and how success is measured. Partners can count on your delivery and reciprocate with their own commitments. Aligned incentives create win-win scenarios that strengthen over time. Prepayment and milestone billing ensure clients are invested in success. Performance-based partnerships ensure everyone benefits from growth. Equity and profit sharing ensure team members are motivated by long-term value creation. The result is a network of relationships that reinforce your success instead of constraining it. Clients become advocates. Partners become extensions of your team. Team members become entrepreneurs within your system. The execution advantage. With endless leverage systems in place, you can execute strategies that would be impossible for traditional businesses. You can launch pre-orders with confidence because your delivery systems are proven. You can compress cash cycles because your processes are automated. You can raise prices because your value is documented and guaranteed. Pre-order execution becomes systematic rather than risky. You can collect deposits and launch in weeks because you have templates, processes, and proof that reduce uncertainty. You can validate demand before building because your testing systems are automated. You can scale with documented playbooks because your knowledge is systematized. Cash cycle compression becomes automatic rather than manual. Deposits, milestones, and instant payment systems work without your constant attention. Supplier terms are negotiated from strength because your cash position is strong. Weekly reinvestment becomes possible because cash flow is predictable. Price increases become natural rather than stressful. Specificity, proof, and guarantees justify premium pricing. Days to win metrics demonstrate value clearly. Fast-track slots create urgency and exclusivity. The compound effect of systematic practice. The most powerful aspect of endless leverage is how it improves with practice. Each cycle teaches you something new. Each success creates assets that make future success easier. Each challenge reveals optimizations that prevent future problems. Proof compounds automatically. Each client success becomes a case study. Each case study becomes social proof. Each piece of social proof shortens future sales cycles. Your reputation builds while you sleep. Systems replace heroics gradually. Standard operating procedures capture your expertise. Automation handles routine tasks. Code eliminates manual work. You move from being essential to being strategic. Distribution matures into dominance over time. Owned channels reduce customer acquisition costs. Partners seek you out for collaboration. Inbound leads outweigh outbound efforts. Your market position becomes self-reinforcing. The entrepreneurs who master endless leverage don't just build businesses. They build machines that get better automatically. Each day is easier than the last. Each month is more profitable than the previous. Each year creates more optionality than the one before. The Netflix lesson for every entrepreneur. Reed Hastings didn't just build a streaming service. He built a leverage machine that could adapt to any entertainment format, any distribution method, any market condition. When the world shifted from physical to digital, Netflix was ready. When consumers wanted original content, Netflix was prepared. When global expansion became possible, Netflix was positioned. The same principles apply to your business, regardless of industry or size. You can build code systems that scale infinitely. You can deploy capital strategically to accelerate growth. You can create content that multiplies your influence. The key is thinking systematically rather than tactically. Instead of optimizing individual activities, optimize the relationships between activities. Instead of improving single metrics, improve the systems that drive multiple metrics. Instead of solving immediate problems, Build capabilities that prevent future problems. Your 7-day transformation blueprint. Everything you've learned in this book can be implemented immediately. You don't need perfect conditions, unlimited resources, or revolutionary innovations. You just need to start with the highest impact actions and build momentum systematically. Day 1 and 2. Write your one-sentence outcome promise and engineer a Day 1 micro-result. This creates the foundation for value velocity. Your offer should be so clear that strangers can understand it instantly and so fast that clients see progress immediately. Day 3 and 4. Add a 30 to 50% deposit requirement and milestone billing to your best offer. This implements cash compression and begins client financing. Your cash flow will improve immediately while your client relationships become more committed. Day 5. Publish one specific proof asset with numbers, names, and timestamps. This accelerates trust velocity. Your credibility will increase immediately while your sales cycles begin shortening. Day 6 and 7. Launch one underpriced channel test with 10 different hooks and book your first calls. This captures distribution edges while testing monopoly moments. Your reach will expand immediately while you gather data about what resonates. These 4 moves will transform your business in 1 week. But more importantly, they'll create the foundation for endless leverage that compounds over months and years. The choice that defines everything. You now have everything you need to build a business that makes money so fast it feels illegal. The principles are proven, the systems are documented, the examples are real. The only question is whether you'll act on what you've learned. Most entrepreneurs will read this book, feel inspired, and then return to their old patterns. They'll wait for perfect conditions. They'll overthink the implementation. They'll get distracted by new tactics and forget the fundamental systems. A few entrepreneurs will implement these principles immediately. They'll start with imperfect action rather than perfect planning. They'll measure results weekly and optimize continuously. They'll build leverage systems that compound over time. The difference between these two groups isn't talent, resources, or luck. It's the willingness to act on incomplete information while others are still analyzing. Your edge isn't luck, it's structure. The structures you've learned in this book, the systems that turn effort into exponential outcomes, the leverage that multiplies single actions into infinite results. Build proof daily because cash loves clarity. Every piece of evidence you create makes the next sale easier. Every case study you document shortens future sales cycles. Every guarantee you offer demonstrates confidence that attracts ideal clients. Start today because momentum compounds. The systems you build this week will generate results next month. The leverage you create this month will accelerate growth next quarter. The foundations you lay this quarter will support expansion next year. Iterate tomorrow because perfection is the enemy of progress. Your first implementation won't be perfect, but it will be better than waiting for perfection. Your second iteration will be better than your first. Your 10th iteration will be extraordinary. Compound forever because that's where the real magic happens. Linear growth is predictable but limited. Exponential growth is uncertain but unlimited. Endless leverage turns linear effort into exponential outcomes. The entrepreneurs who understand this don't just build businesses, they build legacies. They don't just make money, they make impact. They don't just achieve success, they redefine what success means. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the opportunity. The only question left is, how fast do you want to move? Because the world is waiting for what you're going to build. Your ideal clients are searching for the solutions you can provide. Your future success is ready to be unlocked by the systems you're about to implement. Move first, move clean, move fast. Your time is now.